This summer was supposed to be calm. Nothing crazy, no fireworks, no panic buys. Maybe a couple of smart tweaks here and there. That's what Arsenal fans thought. Anyway, after 3 seasons of steady, calculated rebuilding under Mikel Arteta, the feeling was that the team had finally arrived. Stabilized, matured, ready to challenge. But stability in modern football doesn't mean you stop spending. On the contrary, it means you start spending smarter. Or, in Arsenal's case, you spend like your credit card has no limit and EDU's got cashback rewards. How else do you explain Arsenal walking into Cobham with a grin and £50 million to hand over for Noni Madueke? Yes, £50 million. For Madueke, the same Madueke Chelsea signed from PSV just 18 months ago for around £30 million. The same Madueke who, while undeniably talented, spent a good chunk of last season locked in a head-to-head battle with a club physio for who could spend more time off the pitch. The same Madueke who flashes brilliance in short bursts but whose injury record reads more like a diary of orthopedic nightmares than a football CV. But Arsenal want him. Or, more accurately, they are willing to pay for him. Because Arteta and Edu, the brains behind the Gunners' modern identity, are not on holiday. While other clubs deliberate over renewing their backup goalkeeper or whether to tour Thailand in pre-season, Arsenal are placing calls, shifting targets, and, of course, throwing cash like a confetti at a North London wedding. Madueke's arrival shocked people, not just because of the fee, but because of what it represents. Arsenal had already signed Riccardo Calafiori from Bologna, the breakout Italian defender from Euro 2024. Left-footed, aggressive, and versatile enough to play as both centre-back and left-back, Calafiori cost about £42 million and was greeted with optimism. Young, tough, technically sound, the archetype of an Arteta signing. But this Arsenal side doesn't settle. Beyond philosophy and positional play, there's a hunger, an obsession, really, to finally dethrone Manchester City. You don't do that with potential alone. You do it with depth, firepower, rotation options. That's where Madueke fits in. He's a left-footed winger who can play both flanks, dribble, shoot, drive at defenders. In Arteta's system, he could be another sharp blade in a growing Arsenal, pun semi-intended. Of course, not everyone's convinced. Social media, football's unofficial ministry of sarcasm, had Arsenal fans split between those hyped about Madueke's upside and those wondering if he comes with a full-service medical insurance plan. He's raw, inconsistent, and, yes, injury-prone. But the modern market doesn't trade in guarantees. It trades in promise. And if Madueke manages to stay fit and finds his rhythm under Arteta, he could be a nightmare for defenders and a dream for the Gunners. But that's just the beginning. Because, while Madueke's signing is making headlines, Edu and Arteta aren't closing the shop just yet. Arsenal want more. Much more. And the names linked to the Emirates this week are enough to make any North London accountant sweat. First up, Viktor Gyökeres. If you haven't been following the Portuguese league closely, which is totally understandable unless you're scouting Benfica's U23s on a Tuesday night, you might have missed just how dominant Gyökeres was for Sporting last season. The Swedish striker put up a ridiculous 43 goals and 15 assists in all competitions. That's not a typo. That's a demolition job. He's not cheap. His release clause is €100 million, and Sporting are clutching it like a toddler to their favourite toy. But Arsenal are watching. They are circling. Because, for all the hard work Jesus and Havertz have done up front, there's a growing sense that this team needs a true number 9. A predator. A striker who turns half chances into hat-tricks. Gyökeres could be that man. Strong, smart, technically polished, with a relentless motor, he's built for the Premier League. The question is, do Arsenal really want to splash another £85 to £90 million on another forward? After dropping £50 million on Madueke? After signing Calafiori? With other areas still needing attention, like midfield depth or another right-back. That's the risk. But Arsenal have never looked more ambitious under Arteta. They are not waiting for the market to come to them. They are kicking the market's door down. And if Gyökeres is the audacious move, then the pursuit of Eberechi is pure seduction. Was one of the brightest stars of Crystal Palace's late-season revival, and also stood out in England's run at the Euros. He's different. He's got that street baller flair. He spins, glides, wrong-fits defenders with ease. He isn't a carbon copy of Degaard, but he could be the perfect partner, or his perfect shadow. He can play wide or central. He scores goals, breaks lines, and brings unpredictability, which Arsenal occasionally lack when Degaard and Saka are boxing by rigid low blocks. He's exciting. He's expensive. Palace, still stinging from the loss of Mikel to Bayern, want upwards of £60 million. And they are not in a rush to negotiate. But Arsenal are lurking. And they are not just window shopping. This isn't about adding bodies. This is about finishing touches. Arsenal know they have the core. What they want now is an extra 10%. The killer instinct, the variety, the chaos creators. And all of this is being done while quietly managing the exit door. Thomas Partey is expected to leave. Emile Smith-Rowe could be next. Eddie Nketiah's future is in question, especially if a big striker arrives. Even Reece Nelson might move on. This is a squad being reshaped, not from scratch, but from strength. It's not a rebuild. It's an evolution. Arteta's first Arsenal was built on discipline, structure, and culture change. His second version, post-2022, brought style, verticality, and pressure football. Now, heading into the 2025-26 season, it looks like the third phase is arriving. Power, rotation, ruthlessness. Players who can kill games off in the final 30 minutes. A bench that doesn't dip in quality. Tactical variety. A squad that can take on 4 competitions and not break down in February. And while all this drama unfolds in North London, over in the South West, Chelsea's reaction to Madueke's sale has been pragmatic. Let's be honest. £50 million for a player they bought for £30 million a year ago, and who has yet to prove himself consistently in the Premier League, is good business. Especially for a club still dancing around FFP regulations like it's a limbo competition. Some fans will feel a pang of regret. Madueke was young, English, and just starting to find form under Pochettino. But in the Burley era, every sale is an equation. If Arsenal want him that badly, and they are willing to pay that much, Chelsea aren't going to stand in the way. They are not in a position to. So now we wait. Will Arsenal trigger Gyokeres' clause? Will Eves be the next one through the door? Will someone unexpected leave? Will Arteta finally have the squad depth to challenge City toe-to-toe until the final whistle the final day? One thing's for sure, Arsenal aren't playing it safe anymore. They are making moves like a club that believes its moment is now. No more nearly men, no more moral victories. They are building a squad to win titles, plural. Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao. Okay, maybe not the Carabao. Let's not get greedy. But you get the point. The hunger is real. The spending is loud. The intent is clear. And whether these signings work out or not, no one will be able to say Arsenal didn't go for it. And if they do pull it off, if Madueke finds his groove, if Gyokeres arrives and starts banging them in, if Eves adds that final spark, then the Emirates might just become the epicenter of English football's new order. Until then, though, we've got headlines, rumours, late-night Fabrizio tweets, and EDU's bank account in flames. Welcome to Arsenal summer. And just when you think Arsenal might have taken their foot off the gas, perhaps to pause, reflect, maybe even breathe, they do the exact opposite. The whispers don't stop. Instead, they multiply. There's talk of one more midfielder. Yes, because even with Declan Rice anchoring the middle and Degaard orchestrating up top like a Norwegian maestro, Arsenal know that depth in midfield is no longer a luxury. It's a survival tool. Champions League group stages, FA Cup replays, and those long, soggy nights away at Burnley require more than just elegance and structure. They require legs, energy, control. LG is staying for now. True, but the legs are older, the pace is slower, and Partey, once the heartbeat of Arteta's transitions, is packing his bags. So names are flying. João Neves, Amadou Onana, even a cheeky rumor about Frenkie de Jong. Because, well, why not? It's silly season. But underneath the chaos, there's a clear pattern. Arsenal are not randomly buying. They are not just reacting to what rivals are doing. They are buying with intention, each piece a specific response to a weakness that cost them last season. Remember that stretch in March where injuries piled up, energy dipped, and suddenly everything looked heavier. They are trying to bulletproof that period now. Madueke brings explosiveness. Calafiori brings flexibility. Potential additions like Gyokeres and Ease bring, respectively, goals and flair. Arsenal aren't just buying quality, they are buying variety, and that's crucial in this era. City don't dominate by fielding the same 11 every week. They dominate by overwhelming you with options. Grealish one week, Doku the next, Alvarez on Sunday, Foden on Wednesday. They come at you with waves, and now Arsenal want their own tsunami. Even the training ground has changed. Sources close to Coney say the tone is different this preseason. There's more bite, more sharpness. The message is clear. Second place is no longer a moral victory. The youngest team in the league is now growing teeth. And here's a twist that's flown under the radar, the age profile. Madueke is 22. Calafiori is 22. Ease, 26. Gyökeres, 26. These are not short-term panic buys. They are foundation stones. Arteta isn't just building for this season. He's thinking of the next three. The team is shifting from talented but raw to talented and battle-ready. Which leads us to the big elephant in the room, money. Let's not dance around it. Arsenal are spending like a club that just found a briefcase labeled Champions League revenue plus £100 million from Adidas. And fair play. After years of austerity, after selling Van Persie, Fabregas, Nasri, and half of London's talent to survive in Wenger's final years, Arsenal fans are witnessing something they once thought impossible. A club with ambition and the wallet to match. But ambition has pressure baked into it. Arteta knows this. He's not the cool-headed assistant with the perfect hair anymore. He's the manager of a super club now, with expectations, with critics, with fans that sing his name but also demand silverware. He's trusted with one of the youngest, most dynamic squads in Europe, and has got the board backing to go toe-to-toe with the Guardiola machine. But it all comes down to one question. Can he deliver? Because last season, despite all the progress, still ended in frustration. A brilliant campaign, record points, impressive away form, but no trophies. And Manchester City didn't even need Top Gear to overtake. That's a bar now. It's not about beating Spurs or finishing top four. It's about lifting that Premier League trophy while Pep stands there blinking in disbelief. It's about going to Munich or Madrid or Paris on a Wednesday night and not looking like tourists. It's about Arsenal 2.0 becoming Arsenal winners. And make no mistake, this is Arsenal 2.0, a version rebuilt from the ashes of mediocrity. From Unai Emery's confused press conferences, from finishing 8th twice, from giving Willian a 3-year deal, don't worry, we've all tried to forget. Those days are gone. This team is sharp, unified, and driven, but it's also expensive. And expectations scale with spending. That's the irony. Arsenal used to be mocked for being too passive in the market. Now, they are being questioned for spending too much. The same pundits who said they need depth are now saying why are they spending £50 million on a winger who doesn't start? That's the Premier League circus. Damned if you do, irrelevant if you don't. So, what does success look like this season? It depends who you ask. For some fans, it's a title or bust. For others, it's a trophy, any trophy. An FA Cup, a deep Champions League run, something tangible. Something you can put in the cabinet next to the Invincibles DVD and the We Beat Spurs mugs. For the players, it's legacy. Soccer doesn't want to be remembered as very good but trophyless. De Gaard doesn't want to be the Norwegian Totti, loyal and brilliant, but medal-light. Declan Rice, after years at West Ham, didn't jump ship just to play attractive football. He wants the big nights and the big wins. And for Arteta, it's vindication. This is his team. Every piece, every detail, from the tactical instructions to the players signed. This is the purest Arteta project we've ever seen. There are no leftovers from Emery, no transitional excuses. This is him, front and center, vision on display, no shadows to hide in. So as preseason matches tick along and the Emirates prepares for another title tilt, the feeling around the club is a mix of hope and tension. Hope, because for the first time in 2 decades, Arsenal look like real contenders. Tension, because nothing short of silverware will do. And that's why signings like Madueke matter. Not because he'll start every week, but because he represents something deeper. Readiness, depth, courage. Arsenal are stepping into the ring with the champion, not as underdogs, but as equals. They are spending, Yes, but they're spending like they mean it. Whether it all works out, no one knows. Football doesn't care about spreadsheets or vibes. It's ruthless. Madueke could become a star, or just another expensive misfire. Gyökeres might flop. Ease might stay at Palace. And yet, the intent is undeniable. Arsenal aren't chasing shadows anymore. They are chasing trophies. And if they keep going like this, they might just catch them. Arsenal aren't chasing shadows anymore. They are chasing trophies. And if they keep going like this, they might just catch them. Because what's unfolding at London Coney is more than a recruitment spree. It's a psychological shift, a cultural evolution. Not just in the dressing room, but in the stands, in the boardroom, even among rivals. There's a growing awareness, almost a reluctant acceptance among opposition fans, that this isn't the old Arsenal. This isn't a pretty football, no-end product team. This version bites. It's subtle, but it's there. You see it in how clubs now treat Arsenal in negotiations, no longer as naive buyers to fleece, but as serious players with leverage. You hear it in the way pundits stop short of patronizing praise and begin speaking in tones reserved for title challengers. There's caution now, respect, even fear. And inside the club, you feel it. Players are different. Bukayo Saka, once the smiling academy kid with the world on his shoulders, now walks with a quiet authority. Martin Odegaard, who arrived as a Real Madrid cast-off looking for identity, now sets the tempo, not just on the pitch, but in training, in the gym, in the tunnel before kickoff. Even Gabriel Magalhaes, no stranger to chaos in his early Arsenal days, carries himself like a leader of a proper backline. This isn't a team waiting to grow up anymore. This is a team growing into power in real time. And Arteta? He hasn't said it, not directly, but you can see it in his posture during press conferences and pre-season sessions. He knows what's at stake. He's no longer the exciting young manager with Pep's phone number. He's no longer the project. He's the architect of a machine that's expected to run, and run at full speed. That's why every decision now feels bigger. Every signing, every substitution, every departure. Arsenal aren't trying to find a winning formula. They're trying to perfect one. That's the pressure you feel when you get this close. Inches from glory, every choice has consequences. Take the Madueke signing again. Yes, it raised eyebrows. Yes, there were questions. But that deal didn't happen in a vacuum. It was targeted, calculated. Arsenal had been following Madueke long, before he even moved to Chelsea. The scouting reports go back to PSV. They knew about the injuries, sure, but they also saw something else, something raw, something unpolished, something that might, just might, explode in the right setting. In fact, that's been a common thread with this recruitment team. Ramsdale, when he was signed, was considered overpriced and unnecessary. Now he's an England international with back-to-back Golden Glove-worthy seasons under his belt. Odegaard was dismissed by many as a Real Madrid flop. He now wears the armband and dictates games with the elegance of a concert pianist. Ben White? Too much money for a centre-back who can't defend, they said. He's now one of the most reliable fullbacks in the league. This isn't a fluke. It's strategy. It's identity. It's Arsenal doing what Arsenal fans once dreamed of, outthinking and outspending rivals without compromising either principle or style. And yet, it doesn't feel flashy. There's no circus. No desperate press conferences or shirt-holding pantomimes at 11:59 p.m. on deadline day. No helicopter chases or agents waving contracts on Instagram Live. Arsenal, in 2025, feel composed. Deliberate, like a club that's not trying to win the transfer window, but trying to win everything else. Even the dressing room dynamics reflect that. There's no superstar ego sucking all the oxygen. No one-man show. The hierarchy is clear, respected, functional. Young stars like Saka, Saliba, and Martinelli don't behave like influencers with side careers. They behave like professionals who know they are building something. Veterans like Rice and Gabriel Jesus, both battle-hardened in their own ways, bring gravity and maturity. And Arteta? He keeps everyone sharp. There's no room for passengers. You're either growing or you're gone. That's why players like Smith Rowe, once the golden boy of Hale End, now face an honest, difficult reality. Talent alone isn't enough. You need intensity, adaptability, relentless commitment. Arteta isn't sentimental. He's surgical. If you're not evolving, someone else will take your spot. That clarity is new, ruthless, but necessary. Even the fans, eternally optimistic, perpetually scarred, feel the shift. You hear it in how they speak about the club. There's pride again, but it's not just nostalgia. It's present tense belief. For too long, Arsenal were a historical club, famous for what used to be. Now they are famous for what might be. There's nothing passive about it. And the Emirates, the so-called library, it's loud again, alive, electric. Visiting teams no longer look forward to it. They fear it. The roar when soccer scores, the growl when Rice wins a duel, the chorus of 60,000 voices willing the ball into the net when it's tight and nervy in the 87th minute. It's no longer a tourist stop. It's a battleground. That energy matters. It's part of the Arsenal now, literally and metaphorically. And so, as a club inches toward completing its summer business, every new arrival, every rumor, every decision must be understood in this context. Arsenal are not shopping like they used to. They are not looking for bargains. They are not signing projects. They are building a dynasty. And that, more than any individual transfer, is what's truly frightening for their rivals. Because when a team starts acting like champions before they've even lifted the trophy, when they prepare with that kind of clarity, spend with that kind of purpose, and play with that kind of conviction, then they're already halfway there. They just haven't cashed the check yet. But if you squint, you can already see the outline of that first line of engraving. Premier League champions. All that's missing is the year. And Arsenal are doing everything they can to make sure it's not 2004 anymore. They're done with that. The next chapter is being written now. In bold, in red, and in gold. They say history is written by the winners. Arsenal are trying to rewrite theirs. Not just to remember the past, but to shape the future. To take everything they've built, the youth, the style, the patience, the pain, and finally turn it into glory. Into nights that matter. Into moments that live forever. Because when you spend like this, plan like this, and fight like this, you're not just building a squad. You're building a statement. So whether Madueke becomes a star, whether Gyökeres arrives and bulldozes through Premier League defences, whether Eve brings his magic to North London or not, none of it changes one simple truth. Arsenal are all in. This isn't hope. It's intent. And the rest of the league better start paying attention. Bell, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into Arsenal's bold transfer summer, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel for more top-level Premier League stories, and drop a comment below. Let us know. Do you think Arsenal have what it takes to lift the title this season? Or are they still one or two signings away? Either way, one thing for sure, the Gunners are not standing still. And neither should you, because this story, it's just getting started.